You know, when we think of punk rock, we usually think of the 70s, right? But what if I told you the real DNA of punk was actually cooked up way back in the 60s? We're going to dive into the story of a band from Tacoma, Washington, whose sound was so raw, so aggressive, it literally echoed for decades. Let's talk about the Sonics.
All right, so before we even get into who these guys were, let's talk about why they were such a big deal. I mean, the easiest way to see their impact is just to look at the incredible artists they inspired long after they were gone.
And check this out. That quote, that's from Kurt Cobain. You know, from Nirvana, only one of the biggest bands on the planet in the 90s. He was totally obsessed with how this little garage band from the 60s got their sound on tape. Just think about that for a second.
And yeah, it wasn't just Nirvana. The Sonic sound, that raw, hard-edged thing they had, it was basically the blueprint for whole generations of punk and garage rock. We're talking the Stooges, the White Stripes, the Cramps. Their fingerprints are all over the place. The White Stripes even said it best. The Sonics were punk long before punk.
Okay, so how did a band with this revolutionary sound even happen? Let's wind the clock back and head to their hometown in the Pacific Northwest.
So it all kicked off in 1960. A teenager, Larry Pareba, gets the band started. But, you know, like a lot of bands, they had some lineup changes. The real magic happened in 1964. That's when the classic, just ferocious version of the Sonics came together. Jerry Rosley took over on lead vocals, and he unleashed this scream that became their signature.
And bam! The impact was immediate. Their first single, The Witch, was so weird and so powerful that it became this huge local hit. And get this, it blew up even though radio stations were trying to ban it. They thought the lyrics were just too bizarre. Can you imagine?
Okay, so here's the really crucial part. Their sound wasn't just aggressive when they played live. No, it's how they captured it on tape. They had this totally reckless, rule-breaking spirit in the studio that, honestly, is the stuff of legend.
I mean, they basically made up their own way of recording. You want to know how they got that insane drum sound that Cobain was obsessed with? They used one single microphone for the whole kit. And for their classic albums, Here Are the Sonics, and boom, they walked into a country and western studio and literally ripped the soundproofing off the walls. Why? To get a raw, more live sound. Who does that?
But you know how it goes. A sound that raw, that authentic, it was always going to clash with the mainstream. So, in 1966, they signed to a new label, head down to Hollywood, and you guessed it, the industry immediately tried to clean them up, to give them a slicker, more polished sound. And this part just perfectly shows you who they were. So how did the band feel about their new, polished album? They hated it. They called it the worst garbage. I mean, their entire spirit was about that noise, that raw energy. And yeah, pretty soon after that, the original band just started to fall apart.
So after that short explosive run in the mid-60s, the band pretty much vanished for decades. But here's the thing. While they were gone, their legend just kept growing, kind of bubbling under the surface, waiting for new generations to find them.
Yeah, by 1968, the original lineup was history. And for almost 40 years, nothing. I mean, there was a one-off reunion show, but that's it. Then, something wild happens in 2004. A Land Rover ad uses their cover of Have Love Will Travel. And all of a sudden, a whole new generation of people are hearing this insane sound and asking, whoa, who is that? That one little spark was all it took to get them to officially reunite in 2007.
And this is where the story gets so cool. It comes full circle. These pioneers, they came back. But they weren't just some old nostalgia act. No, they were living legends, and they were ready to reclaim the rock and roll world they had helped build.
Since getting back together, they've toured all over the world. They're playing to these packed-out venues, filled with people who found their music decades later. It's amazing. They were finally getting that huge global recognition they should have had all along.
And listen, they weren't just playing the oldies. In 2015, they dropped a brand new album called This Is the Sonics. And the craziest part? It had the exact same raw, crackling energy as their stuff from the 60s. It proved their sound was just timeless. What an incredible comeback.
So you see, the Sonics are just the perfect example of a band whose influence was way bigger than their initial fame. They didn't just cut a few records. They literally created a sound that went on to inspire entire genres. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other musical pioneers are still out there just waiting for us to rediscover them?